Craft brewers, do you want to get top billing on Google's local rankings? You want to go from maybe where you are now, a 0, to being a local hero? Then this video is going to show you exactly how to do it. We're going to cover general SEO tactics and brewer-specific strategy. Listen, relax. If the thought of making this is making your head spin, I've got an easy solution. Put send down below in the comments, and I'll share with you a PDF that covers all of this. It's useful if you're going to do it yourself or if you're going to have somebody else do it. Listen, I get it. You may have somebody on the tech side of your business. They can use this guide. They can follow along. It's going to have all the instructions in there, how you should go about doing it, how long it should take, and an idea how complicated each and every strategy is. In case you've just come across my videos, let me introduce myself. My name's Trip, and I help brew pubs and breweries develop specific and successful advertising and marketing strategies to enhance their business and personal lives. Great, now let's dive in. What we're going to be covering is there 7 key elements that we're going to cover here. We'll start off with foundational steps, then move to some intermediate strategies. And listen, don't get nervous. We'll get into some advanced tactics. Now, here's some areas where people might stop, but we're going to talk about, I should say, how to measure successes. We're also going to dive into ethical considerations. And we'll talk about industry-specific advice, plus how to set forth a long-term strategy. Let's kick it off with the foundational steps. You're going to want to optimize your Google business profile. Go ahead and claim your GBP, easy for me to say. Visit business.google.com and follow the verification process. Make sure you provide complete information to Google. As you're setting this up, use your exact business name. Choose the most specific category for your business. Enter your complete address and service area. List all services, list all products. Write a detailed business description. This needs to be between 250 and 750 characters. Add high quality photos. Upload at least 10 photos, including your logo, photos of your interior, exterior, teams, product photos, at least 10, and there can't be too many of these. Add video if possible. Make the videos about 30 to 90 seconds long, or if you have videos that are about that length, they're perfect to put up there. Keep your information in your Google business profile up to date. Set a monthly reminder to check and update your information. Make sure you update your tap lists and events frequently. Make sure you put in photos of your brewery and your beer. Here's a big thing. Keep your hours accurate and include all specific and special events. Create a review generation strategy. Write about local events that you're doing. Have pictures, videos. Also have topics like tie into 10 things to do around in your community. Obviously include your brewery as one of them. Here's some I'm going to provide you guys. Remember, just put send down below. Some schema markup, okay? It's local business schema. It will help the search engines understand that you're a local business. I'm not going to try to read that here, but you can download that. You want to set up an email follow-up system to request reviews whenever somebody gets onto your your email list. And anybody who gets on your email list should be directed to get on your mailing list. Train staff to ask satisfied customers for reviews. Consider review management software like Podium or Birdseye. When you do get a review, respond to it within 24 hours. For positive reviews, thank the customer and mention something specific about their experience. Listen, negative reviews, they're going to happen. Apologize if it makes sense, address their issue, and offer to make it right. Offline, you can look for folks. Maybe there's a way you know this person, you can contact them. Something you might want to put is, thank you for your feedback, and then mention their name. We're sorry to hear about your experience with whatever it was they had an issue with. Then mention something like, here at Trips Brewing, we strive for excellent customer service and we clearly fell short. We'd like to make this right. Please contact us. Put a phone and email, ideally both, so we can address your concerns personally. Now, here's the thing. Reviews are super powerful. So encourage patrons to leave reviews. Make sure that you don't want to go overboard incentivizing it, but you can ask situations like, hey, you just told me about this great experience. Would you leave a review? If you're the brand ambassador or if you are the business owner, maybe have a little, custom-made little coin that you hand, and your next beer's on me. Now, this is the key here. You're not incentivizing the review, saying, if you give me a review, and it's a positive one, I'll buy you a beer. No, hey, you know what? Even it's just for the consideration. I'd love it if you would go ahead, give us that review. What you just told me would be great for other people to see online. And I know it's going to take some time from you. So, you know what? Next time you come in here and hand them that little specialized coin or some kind of little card that says you're buying them their next beer. Now, of course, some folks will turn in and get their free beer without doing a review, but the vast majority of folks will go ahead and do that. Next thing you want to make sure that happens on your website is you've got some of the local SEO basics put into play. You want to optimize your website for local keywords, include your city, your neighborhood, whether it's county or whatever, in your title tags, your headers, and your content. For example, best brewery in, put your town in. Or, the best brewery in such and such serving, add neighborhoods or towns. And create location pages. And use that type of, brewing great beers in such and such in New York City since 1918. Put that in there. And that can be a whole page talking about it. If you have multiple locations, create a unique page for each, and that page is tied to that specific location, identified by where it physically is. Include location-specific content. Always make sure your operating hours are correct. Make sure there's a link. Google will help you put this together for folks to get direction, and ensure that your NAP is always consistent. NAP is an acronym. It stands for name, address, and phone number. Use the exact same name and address and phone number on all online platforms. Here's a little tip. Create a spreadsheet to track where your business is listed and ensure that it's consistent. If you see something that's wrong, reach out to that website to correct it. And what I mean by wrong could be, if I own Trips Brewing, and it says Trips Brewery, well, obviously that's wrong. Whether you want to go with brewing or brewery, it's got to be consistent everywhere. Another common mistake involves the legal entity. It could be Trips Brewing, LLC. That could be the legal entity. I'd recommend dropping the LLC. But what you can't do is, some places it's listed Trip Brewing LLC and other places it's not being. Build local backlinks. Partner with local businesses. Identify complementary businesses in your area. Propose content exchanges or co-promotional events. Sponsor local events. It can be local Little League baseball or soccer, things like that. Look for community events. Look for charities to sponsor. I've got a whole video on that. I'll put a card on this and I'll also put it down in the description. I go from A to Z on this, how to put them together, what to think about. It's got a brainstorming element in there as well. Definitely give that a look if you are not well on your way to this kind of community engagement. Also, you want to make sure that you are in places like Yelp, Yellow Pages, the BBB in your area. Find industry-specific directories. Could be TripAdvisor and things like that. Now, you don't need to pay for most, if not all of these, and I encourage you not to wherever possible. I think you can do a lot of these without ever having to pay a penny. Here's where a lot of folks kind of fall short. Make sure your website is optimized for mobile and it's tied to speed. Now, most website building software will automatically convert a desktop design into mobile. But as it makes those changes, sometimes things fall off or it just doesn't look right. The vast majority of folks are going to be finding you on their phone. So a key thing is to make sure that's set up. Google has a mobile-friendly testing tool. Just go ahead and search that on Google and run your site through that and make whatever changes need to be. If your bailiwick is not updating your website, whoever does that, do make sure they do it because it's very important. It impacts not just on the user's experience, but where you might rank on Google as well. Some things to think about, improving page load speed. You'll get that in the report. Compressing images helps to increase the loading speed. And, get rid of some of the bells and whistles. A light website, specifically because it relates to a brewery, is important. And by that, I mean you don't need all sorts of things popping up and bells and whistles and pictures spinning around and making noise, all those things. No. Good pictures, good short video is good as well, but compress those things where possible. Leverage browser caching. Consider implementing AMP. Create AMP versions of your key pages and test using Google's AMP testing tool as well. I'm not going to dive into what those technical things are. If you know, you know, and if you don't, you probably can do one of two things. If someone, again, you've got a tech person, they should know how that is, or run the tests, see how your website scores, and then if you need it, there's some places like Upwork where you can find someone on an hourly basis to make whatever changes if you don't have somebody local that you want to use. Develop local resources like, get tied in when folks have neighborhood guides, local industry reports. When you're doing things, falls under kind of that PR aspect. If you're having a big event next month, let all the local news sites know. And even if you're in a big city, even like, New York City, let the local news outlets know. They're always looking for content. There's so many hours they have to fill. And they like lighthearted, fun things that their viewers might enjoy going to. And if you're having a good event, that would certainly fall under that category. Monitor, here's a great tip. I did this with all of my businesses. Set Google alerts. You can do it right from google.com. You can find the alerts part for your business. Put your name in a couple of different ways. I'd also put breweries, an alert for breweries and your town or city as well. What will happen is Google will send you an email with a link to anything that's posted tied to breweries in general in your area or your business specific. You always want to keep an eye on those things. Oftentimes, if people are mentioning you, if there's not yet a link to your business, reach out to them. Say, hey, I appreciate you guys writing that story about us. Here's a link. If you drop that in that article, it'll help folks find out more about maybe an event or one of your beers or, your menu link. Anything that is related to their story. Now what you've done is you've helped them. You thank them. You tell them how great and appreciative you are about that story. And hey, if you put this link in there, it'll make your readers, more satisfied. It'll help them, based on the story they wrote. So definitely do that. And, offer to be an expert commentary on local situations. You're a local business. So if there is a local business, if it's in the newspaper, someone who writes stories, or possibly on, local access television where they cover business, call them up, send them an email, make a connection. I did this numerous times for the whole state that my business was in. I was the go-to person, and I got several, I think 5 or 6 stories over the years where they came to us. They filmed with us. It's just a great way to build awareness among your customer base. If a news outlet says you're the place, or a news outlet just by covering you. There's an implied endorsement there. That's fantastic. And again, when the story runs, make sure there's links in there going back to assets on your website to satisfy the story or article or whatever it might be. If you've got local chamber of commerce or local business groups, join them. They often have link exchanges. Sometimes it's free or small amount of money, 25 or 50 bucks. You get that link. It helps in your ranking, and it also should drive some business. Look for networking events in your area and build relationships with local businesses and folks who have whatever interest they have within your community. Now that we're implementing all these things that are going to make your ranking shoot to the top, let's talk about measuring success, because nobody wants to put in efforts without getting some measurable success. So key metrics to track, look at your Google business profile. They provide you with insights, meaning views, clicks, how many calls. Look at the local pack ranking for key terms. So search in your area, see where you come up. Find out, and your website should have some tracking, how much organic traffic you're getting, and see where it is that it's coming from. Look at conversion rates from local visitors. One of the things that I would recommend setting up and tracking would be getting folks onto your mailing list. Everywhere on your website should have some element kind of pointing back to getting on my email list. Some tools to use for measuring, of course, make sure Google Analytics, which is a free tool, is set up and properly installed on your website. Google Search Console is another great tool. And there's some local ranking tools out there. Sometimes there's a fee if you need them, something to consider. Companies like Bright Local, Moz Local. And of course, with any kind of measuring, there should be some benchmarks. So in the beginning, establish some metrics of where you're starting and set some goals, something like a 20% increase in organic traffic in 6 months, a 10% increase in the daily number of signups on my email list. You get the point, but go along those ways. Listen, there's lots of folks out there who are going to propose a lot of ways you can get to number one overnight on Google. Many of them, unfortunately, are what's called black hat practices. And if you think about black hat, and what I'm going to talk about now is white hat, like the old cowboy movies, the good guy wears the white hat, the bad guy had a black hat. So you definitely want to stay with the white hat practices. You want to focus on providing value to users, not just the search engines. Yes, there's a right way to kind of place things on your website using situations like headline size, indicating certain things, but the information on the website needs to help the user. The more satisfied the user are, the higher you're going to rank. Don't buy links. Don't look at link farms or any of those types of places. Don't create fake reviews or engage in review gating. Address bad reviews right up front and be honest and open. I've had success. We talked a little bit about that, but any kind of review work, I've had success saying, hey, we're sorry we messed up. And other times I've defended. Oftentimes it was tied to an employee. I did it in a very professional manner, but my viewpoint on that was, listen, you know what? That person was a nightmare. Probably their friends are nightmares too. I don't need any more nightmares in my life. So if folks read that and go, hey, I can't go there and be a nightmare, I was always okay with that. Stay updated on Google's guidelines as well as their algorithm updates. Make sure if you're falling behind or having issues, there are web folks who can help you out with that. Now let's talk about long-term looking at things. You want to develop a sustainable approach, consistently updating and improving your content. Going back to your Google business profile, regularly add photos and videos. Regularly add events into there. Regularly audit your efforts on a quarterly or biannually time frame. Stay informed when you can and gather feedback and act on customer feedback. Meaning, folks are telling you something's lacking or missing, or they couldn't find the directions on your website to get to your location. Those things need to be fixed because if one person is telling you about it, there's lots of folks who are struggling with it. Now let's dive into some brewery-specific strategies that I want to kind of emphasize. They're tied into all the stuff we've already talked about. You would definitely want to optimize for the near me searches. Brewery near me, beer near me, craft beer near me, nearby, near me. Use that local based schema markup. You can download it. Just ask send. I'll send it to you for free. I want you to get that on your website. That will, between the Google business profile and having that good schema markup on your website, you're going to see a whole bunch more folks coming to your website and in turn coming to your business. Leverage beer rating platforms. Link your Untapped profile to your website. If you don't have Untapped, I'm sure you do, but in case you don't, it's UNTAPPD. Go ahead and create a profile there, link it to your website, encourage folks to check in and give ratings. Someone tells you across the bar, I love this beer. Hey, would you mind giving me that review? It helps our business. Folks are oftentimes happy to do it. If someone was doing that, come by. Let's say you have food. You've got a tap room with beer and food. Someone told you they love what they just had. Ask them if they give the review. They say yes. Go in the back if you have a small appetizer, maybe not a whole serving. Maybe if it's a 2 or 3 person typical size, bring them a free 1 person amount of that food. Hey, you said you'd go ahead and do that. I really appreciate it. Here's a little gift from me. Enjoy these. I hope you enjoy these as much as the beer, and give them something free to eat. It's going to, again, incentivize it, but you're not buying it. Create visual brewery content. Post videos of your brewing process. Share photos of new beer releases. And create a virtual beer tour. Make sure those things are posted everywhere you can put them, meaning from social media to websites to your Google business profile. Get that stuff out there. Optimize for seasonal releases. So if you have limited edition beers, while I'm doing this, you might tell from my clothes it's fall time. It could be, pumpkin spice beer. There are a few of those out there, aren't there? Make sure that you've got a page specifically for that. And make sure you use the schema markup that I'm sharing for special beer events. Let's dive in a few advanced tactics. These are things you might need a little help with from an Upwork or even from Fiverr. Folks are on there that can help you. Target Google's Things to Do feature, specifically if you've got events or special things happening. Optimize brewery tour and tasting event listings. If you do those things, and if you don't, you probably should, provide a ton of detail, ton of pictures. Make sure it loads quickly, and encourage and have a Google Q&A section on your website. Remember, we talked about local partnerships. You can create content. You can create products with some local restaurants and bars and list all the locations on your website where your beer can be bought. Let's wrap things up. Implementing these brewery-focused strategies will pay off, and once you've done them, for the most part, it's set it and forget it, and it will increase your rankings and the number of folks who come to your location and buy your products. Make sure you monitor what you do. Make sure you periodically check on things, and make sure you adjust what you're doing based on the results you get. I hope you found this helpful. Remember, I've got this whole report with even more information, goes into more detail. Put send down in the comments. I'll send it your way. Other thing I'll do, as a thank you for getting this far into the video, let me know which tactic down in the comments that you want to do first, what tactic you think is going to raise your ranking the fastest, and I'll be happy to add a little information wherever possible to help you on that. So go ahead and do that. Thank you for watching the video. I look forward to seeing you soon. Cheers. Here's to your success.